Oh, well, that's sick. That's crazy. Okay, let me get started. Jesus. So, what I'm looking at today, okay, whoever is here watching, well, let me get my, give me 1 second. Let me pull up my YouTube. I know you guys are going to see this. I got to pop out my chat. YouTube. Don't look at that. That's my old videos. Go to this. Let's go to my, live. Whoa, that's a lot of stuff. I mean, what the? Hmm. I don't know how to delete all that, but give me 1 second. Okay, let me see how this sounds first of all, okay? I don't know how to delete all that, but give me 1 second. Okay, let me see how this sounds first of all, okay? Okay. Sorry, you're gonna hear an echo for a few seconds, guys. Sorry, you're gonna hear an echo for a few seconds, guys. I don't know. Hopefully that works. Let's try it. Okay, let me close the stream. All right. So what am I looking at? So I'm going to be going through a bunch of different pairs today, forex, futures, stuff I normally don't trade. This is more of a day trading thing, so if you want to apply it to swing trading, you can. I currently can't do a live account because I can't do anything because I'm switching over my live to a live account. And all that means is I was still able to withdraw from the other account, but when I switch over to a live account, there's less restrictions, but it takes 2 to 5 days to process, and I've been having difficulties with the application, so that's why I haven't been streaming. But we do have, if we look over at, and I might type in chat. Let me just type in chat to see if this is, working. See if the overlay is working. Give me 1 second. Man, I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's see. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want everyone to I'm gonna post a little thing, you know. So let me get off the screen. But let me just make sure this works. Okay, let me see if that comes up on the chat. All right. There you go. I think why it's not popping up. Browser. Try to delete this. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know what the issue is with it. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. It's not a huge deal. All right. So when we're looking at specific trades, we could go to M and Q. We can go to M and Q and we can look at this specific chart right here. Okay. So right now it looks like it's going crazy. It's not anything you want to actually trade, right? So when I'm looking at this specific chart, right, I'm trying to figure out the general direction of where we're going. All right. That's the first thing. No matter what strategy, just figure out the general direction where we're going. If we don't have a clear idea, then we're not going to mark it. And you can see how I mark several lines. You know, ignore those drawings. Those are from multiple time periods. But if I'm looking at this general idea of where we could potentially be going today, okay, I can see that this high was taken. So let me just go to mark this out. This high was it taken out? Yeah, it was barely taken out on this left side. Barely scratched out right here. Okay, cool. And if I look at this low right here, we did hold above it. So cool, we're moving up. My idea is that we could potentially be moving up a little bit higher here. I'm going to fill this gap. Although there's not really any clear structure. Okay, so if there's not clear structure here, let me move up even higher. See if I can get some clear structure. No clear structure. So technically I wouldn't be taking M and Q. However, if I had to make a quick guess, let's make a hypothesis. And that's what you want to do. It's like a scientific method, okay? If I'm making a hypothesis here, and I want to assume where the market generally is going, okay? If I assume that the market's generally going up or down, we want to stick our trades to that, okay? So whatever I assume this market's going, you could be reactive. That's very important. Be reactive, but having a good idea of where your first trade is initially going to go. Have an idea of what your opinion is based off of, okay? You don't need a lot of knowledge on the market to have an opinion, okay? An opinion is not formed by one idea. So, for example, let's say that my opinion will, you know, if I'm talking about me as a person, okay? Let's say this is me. This black dot is me right here, okay? I'm not going to describe myself in, you know, one or two words. No, I could probably describe myself better than most people. Okay. So I'm not going to describe myself in one or two words. No, I'm going to have a bunch of other opinions that's going to go based off of it. So I'm going to have, you know, stuff about me that maybe leads to this main idea right here. Okay. So again, just coming up with a bunch of opinions of why we're doing it. Okay. So whenever we're doing that, we want to look at multiple different, you know, things within the same time frame and multiple different things within the higher time frame, okay, or lower time frame. So however many time frames, you don't want to make yourself confused. So we got to also limit the responses. So if we're limiting the idea of where we're going, for example, if I don't want to make, you know, I don't want to make so many connections to this middle point that I lose track of how to get to that main idea of how I'm describing myself, okay? So what leads me, what actually connects that main idea? I'm not going to say that, you know, if I'm very nice and if I describe myself as nice and I describe myself as good at sports, I'm not going to talk about how good I am at cooking. Does that make sense? So you want to limit the response to what actually matters. So if we're taking a trade with my specific strategy, okay, or with, let's say, a very basic strategy, let's even add on, let's just say we're trading based off of support resistance levels, okay? So I'm just going to do this. Let's just say we have a trading strategy. Give me 1 second. Let me make this bigger so people could see. Support and resistance levels. So let's say my trading strategy is support and resistance, okay? And all that is, if you don't know what that is, we're just looking at levels of highs and lows, okay? Well, what am I not going to be looking at? If I'm not trading support and resistance, first of all, we're not going to be connecting, we are not going to be looking at indicators. Okay? Let's just connect the things that, here, let me do it this way. Let's connect the things that would be, you know, the best, the most reasonable, okay? So if we're looking at this trading strategy particularly, maybe we might want to look at, you know, the flow of the market. So highs and lows that led to this point. Okay. Maybe we have another idea of at least 3 tapping points. You know, at least 5 recent places the market has touched the general line, okay? Let's say that. So let's just say in general we look at these, okay? And then we also want to look at the higher and lower time frame for support resistance strategy, okay? So if we're on the hour time frame and we're looking at a higher or lower time frame, well, we can look up here, okay? And if we look at, you know, five places generally on the higher time frame where market has touched and retested and broken off of, well, we have, you know, we have about 3 places that we could say generally right here. If we scroll out, is there any more? And you can see how it starts tapping over here, tapping over there. So, you know, this generally is a strong level, all right? So if we look at that strategy, then we would also want to look at, you know, maybe we want to look at the highs and lows leading up to this, okay? Does the rejection off of here support the general movement that we're going, okay? So if we look at this, we had a low, we had a high. Oh, let me do it this way. And I'm just using a strategy I don't usually use, so sorry if this is a little bit weird. So we have a low and high. We actually break this high up here. So then we have a new low, we have a new high, and then we haven't created this low yet. We have not retraced back in this area. So if we're taking a short here, let's say if, you know, generally this is going against our trend, but if we did want to take a short here, we will be targeting somewhere within this area. And the area that I would be looking at to target the most is going to be the area, you know, that broke the structure. So I'd be looking somewhere between this candlestick, okay? So now if we look at this short right here, and let's say we're looking at this trade, we're looking to set up this trade, okay? Just based off of a simple support resistance strategy, okay? Well, we have a general safe target zone right here where we could potentially retest to, all right? The next question I want to ask is, on this higher time frame trend that we're looking at, is the market supporting the direction we're going, okay? No, it's not. So that would instantly discontinue this trade. So you see how I'm going through the concepts and the ideas of exactly, you know, how you're processing this information. So even if you don't know anything about trading, let's say you don't know about candlesticks, you know, what do you got to think of when you're thinking about a business in general? When I'm thinking about a business, think about where most individuals would buy it. It's when you feel like there's a perceived discount or a perceived, you know, or people would sell it when they perceive it's overbought, okay? And that's just a very general basis. But when I perceive there's a discount here, okay, I'm gonna only perceive that I'm gonna get a discount for buying this trade when I break this low. And I'm going to perceive that there's possibly going to be sellers when I break this high. Now, then you can take that kind of concept or that idea and we can change it around. Well, have there been more buyers or sellers over the period, the longer time frame, which we currently are on my hour, which is my longer time frame? Well, there's been more buyers. So then I wouldn't be looking at this top point to sell it because, we're looking for buyers. So I would be looking, to buy a discounted point. So I'd be looking, where can I get the best percentage off of my purchase? And the best percentage off my purchase is going to be down here at this line. All right. So if we're looking the best percentage purchase down here, this would be a good percentage. And then we identified where I might want to sell to, where this could bounce off of, which would be down here. And you see how I'm framing my trades. This is how in general you would frame your trades to get to a specific, kind of hypothesis of what you're going for. So in general, a good idea of where I might want to buy for a longer term would be here. And let's see if the daily time frame supports that. And we can see, even the daily time frame, it's still bullish. We're still moving upwards here. And I could even point out, just based off of my knowledge, that the very least of what we're going to move to is up here. And probably where I would expect for this to move up to is up here. And the only reason why I would be expecting that is I like to look at these gaps, okay? And these gaps usually are areas where sellers or buyers are not going to come, okay? Because there's less resistance. And all resistance means is if you look at this right here, this is a resistant area because it's struggling to go one way or the other. While when we're looking at individual candlesticks, this is a less resistant area because there's, it's not moving sideways basically. And I wouldn't be convinced if I'm trying to buy a product or sell a product, for example, on this point, sell a product from this area right here. I wouldn't be convinced to sell my product here when it showed that there's not a lot of resistance around this area. People didn't try to buy or sell at bulk around this area, okay? Unlike what people did here. All right, so thinking about it as a company, in terms of a company, that's what we would be looking at. So I'm saying over here at this area right here, there's probably a lot of volume here. And let me check. I could pull up the volume. Let's see if there was a lot of volume here. You can see that the volume increased as the more sideways we went, right? Volume increased. What happened over here when we're moving down? The volume still increased, but what type of volume increased? It was sellers. So there wasn't a clear fight between the volume here, okay? And then again, look at the volume here. The volume here were buyers, but the buyers weren't really fighting that hard. So you can see the three, how people might use volume here. But in general, I wouldn't trade this bearish. I would not trade this, if you're using a support and resistance strategy, which I would never use personally, but using a support and resistance strategy, I would not sell here. I would be looking for the discounted area and then looking at support and resistance at a lower time frame, which we could do now. So let's say this is my discounted point. Now let's look at it in terms of where would support and resistance be on this discounted area right here. Well, now we have a clear idea of where support and resistance could potentially be. We could see it roughly around this area right here, right? And then now you're looking for the best potential trade to play off of support and resistance, and it would be at this line right here. So we could say that a good area, a good area where we could take a trade would be below this line where we expect there to be a discount for buyers. The best area I would expect to take a long trade here, so a trade going to the top side, would be down here, okay? And you could do something like this. And again, where did I say this could potentially go up to? I said it could potentially go up to here, to around this, where was it? 21,650 mark. And that's how you frame your trades. Based off your strategy, this is how you generally frame your trades, wherever you're going. All right. So let me delete volume because I don't use it. All right, so let's say we have that idea right here, okay? So now I'm removing this, and let me move to gold. Okay. So let me frame it based off my idea. Okay. So what are we doing currently here? Well, if I'm looking for an area of discount, I want to look for the best possible entry I can. Okay. So if I'm looking at this as a buyer right now, all right, I would see the market moving kind of sideways. Okay. We're moving sideways. We are moving down on the hour time frame. We're moving, you can see kind of we're moving down on the hour time frame. We constantly are rejecting. Okay. However, I have no, I have no support, no data right now to say that we have broken this low yet. So we have not broken this low yet. Okay. And yet we have broken this high. So we are still on an uptrend no matter which way we want to go. Yeah, it's not a strong uptrend, but we are in the higher time frame. So we are still in an uptrend. So if I zoom in here, okay, and I'm looking for a discounted area to purchase at. All right. And we're looking at this discounted area to purchase at right here. It would be at this line. This line is where we break the low. So we don't want to see that, because if we see this break the low, we don't know how far we can go down. So this might act as a discounted area because we're still bullish. So I might take a trade. Let's say if I'm framing a trade, I still would never take this type of trade. But let's say I'm framing a trade, we could do this. And now look at this. And we might expect it to break the high. We might expect it to come up here. We might expect it to there. Or we could just frame this reference for the 5-minute time frame. And it's all about just framing. Framing, discount, framing overbought, okay? And not framing it based off of indicators, framing it based off of what might be discount or what might be overbought. And for example, when I'm looking at it right here, we can see right here, we look over there, are we in discount? Are we overbought? Well, now we look at it, we frame it this way. Well, I said, oh, well, we're in a discounted spot. Well, look what happened when we took out this high. We broke the lows, we're coming back up, and we might even come back down and break these lows. So you can see how it can get a little bit confusing here, but I'm not going to stick to that. I'm just going to stick to my original trade. Do we have a trade potential right here where we are discounted, where I might want to take a trade to be overbought? Well, take a trade to where I think sellers might not go. So if I know that we have broken this low, of course I don't want to take a trade all the way to break this high. Okay, I'm not seeing strength for that. So where could I potentially take a scalp for this to go? Do I see a area of interest to take a scalp? Well, maybe down here whenever we grab this low, but not anymore. So this would not be a trade idea either. Okay. So if I'm just going through a bunch of areas, let me go to the Dow Jones. Okay. And let me go to the hour time frame. Now let's look at it this way, okay? So on the hour time frame, we can scroll out all the way, and this is something that used to confuse me. If I scroll out here, is this giving me a clear picture if I want to trade on the 5-minute time frame of what I want to do? No, this is not going to give me a clear picture. If you're scrolling all the way this far, or even let's make this more general, okay? And I'm showing you this this after kind of showing the recent stuff because I was trying to use those as the proof point, but I'm not going to even scroll this far on the hour time frame if I'm trading on the 5-minute. Let's say if you're trading on the 1 hour or the 30-minute time frame and you're basing your higher chart off the daily time frame. So we could do that. Where do I even want to frame my candlesticks? All I want to look at is the max I want to look at when I'm framing my chart is about this much. And this gives me a full story, right? We break the low. We come back, we try to break the high, and we failed. Okay? We failed to break the high. And what can we do now? We did grab this low, trying to break the high, so we might give it another shot. All right? So we could potentially, you know, what I could see is I could see us working up to here, to this line. So we failed to break this. We failed to move down lower. We showed some strength. So now I could see this candle potentially work up to here. So maybe I'm bullish biased for the short period, but this wouldn't be a trade I would take on the 30-minute, okay? So this, for the 30-minute, I would look at it in terms of this. We are still moving upwards. We have not broken any specific lows on the daily time frame, right? You know, we've created this high, we've created this low. I mean, we haven't broken any highs, so we could be bearish on the 30-minute time frame. So if I look at this, I might be bearish on the 30-minute time frame. I might not expect, I don't want to see this high be broken again. It could be wicked out, but I don't want to see a candle close above this. So maybe if I look for a retest in this general area again, I might take a short down. And if I'm targeting a short down, you know, targeting the area down, stop loss above this previous area where, you know, it showed weakness, then we might be able to take a short down here. Okay. I'm not saying this is general trades to take. Again, my strategy goes against this. I would take a long here every day. I would expect this to take this high out every day, but I'm just saying it. I'm just saying it in general. Framing the idea is so important. Framing what you want to take and how you want to take the trades will get you above a 50% win rate, and making sure when you're taking these trades that your strategy, if I'm trading a 1-to-1, you can see right here, I'm risking $100 to get $100. That's what my risk to reward ratio, as you can see right here, is a 1. Okay. If I'm trading a 1-to-1 on a risk to reward ratio, you need at least a 60% win rate to get past fees, to make some sort of profit, to feel like, you know, you're benefiting from it. If I'm trading a 1-to-2, 35, 36, probably even a little bit more, 37% win rate's good enough. 1-to-1.5, you need around a 45% win rate. And all these things that I'm talking about, you know, is general. So let me frame this trade again. So 30-minute time frame, I might be down here. 5-minute time frame, however, you know, we showed this strong daily candle the next day. I might expect this next daily candle to work its way up to here. Okay. So we grab this, and I don't expect the daily candle to close below this point. Okay. So now I framed my trade. Let's go to the 5-minute. So I expect the daily candle to work its way up here. I might go to the hour time frame as well to give me a more idea. So then where can I look at? So what took the high here? So I would be looking for a trade potentially down here. So I want to see this grab all of this area, okay? I don't want to see this leave any space. So now I'm even framing this trade. I could have a short trade on the 1-minute down to this point. And then I could take a long trade on the 5-minute up to this point, risking the same amount. Okay. And now I've framed my trade correctly on how I would want to, you know, frame it. I could do the same exact thing. So let's see if we're looking at this here, maybe I'm going to take a, you can see we failed twice, working our way down. Maybe I want to take a short trade on the 1-minute time frame. Maybe get it a little bit higher up so it's a better risk reward. And I'm targeting down to this point right here. And then on, sorry, this is supposed to be on the 1-minute. Right there. I'm actually targeting downwards right here. And I want to target it down to this point. Or I could play it safer. I want to target from right here and target downwards. Still 1-to-1.6. All right, and then I'm going to take a 5-minute trade from down here. And it might even not respect this point, okay? But I could take a 5-minute trade from down here, put my stop loss down here, and then target up to this point for a 1-to-1 if you wanted to trade it like that. Or you could play the safer, add a contract so your average comes down to this point each time it comes down to here, and then trade it up to this point as well. And you see how I'm framing my trades here. And we could even watch this. I bet you this wouldn't be a trade I would necessarily stray away from. This actually looks pretty healthy in terms of a trade down to this point for me. I might actually take this trade if it gave me enough confirmation and speed and movement. But yeah. But in general, like, I know this isn't going to be a video, but this is just this is in general what I would be looking at for this. So we can go to some forex pairs. Let's go to GPB. And I'm actually going to do my own setup for it now. So if you are interested in looking at live trades, then you can do it this way, okay? GPB. Oh wait, what am I doing? USD JPY is something I used to play with, and it's very popular. Okay, so if I'm framing my trade particularly, okay, I'm gonna frame it this way. We're in a bullish trend. We are moving upwards. We have broken this previous high right here. Not only have we broken it, we've held it twice with lows while grabbing liquidity. So we grabbed liquidity right there. So we have held this trade, held this area twice, okay, down there. So if I'm looking for this price to move, what candle has broken the high? The candle that has broken the high is this one. So I'm looking specifically at this candle right here. And I want to go down to the 5-minute time frame, and I want to see what exactly around this area where the candle broke. And we can see it right here. This is the structure that's formed around the candle broke. So this is what I'm interested in. I'm only interested in this structure around here. Okay, so if I'm looking at the structure around here, discounted area we're looking at, it's not only below this low. Discount is going to be for this one, since we're in a upper trend. I would want to target the lowest I possibly can. So there's 3 zones here. The only zone I would want to really focus on is probably where this strong candle came out of. This zone right here. So this would be my target area. I would take a long here. I would frame a long here. I would put a stop loss down here. And I could frame this long a lot lower because we've shown strength in this trend. And I could even frame it long to come up to grab this next liquidity point up here. And this might be a trade I would take if it showed me the right confirmation. And you can see how it grabbed this low right there, and I bet you it's going to work down to this point right here. This might be something I would take. And that's my example. Hopefully the stream is educational. I do have to go. But if anyone has any questions, you can leave it in the comments down below. I will start live streaming. I'll still start posting videos again when I actually get my account up. I did expect to have it today. Probably won't be available before next Monday.